Hi yogi friends, so glad you're here to practice with me today. Today's practice is inspired by a private client of mine, Mary. She had requested that I record this practice that she and I did together during a private session so that she would have it for later, so you guys get the benefit as well. So come into your easy seat. If you use a little support behind the tailbone like I do, grab that. It might be good to have some blocks handy. They're always useful. And come into your easy seat and relax into your space, closing the eyes. And let's begin by noticing the temperature of the air in the room, noticing our clothing against our bodies, and noticing any sensations in the body. And then take notice of the state of mind or state of the emotions here as we settle in to our space. Notice the points in the body that are grounded beneath you, the points in the feet, in the ankles, in the legs, and in the bum that are securely fastened on the surface beneath you. And then let's draw attention inward toward our heartbeat and our breath, noticing the pacing and depth of the breath. And even taking notice of the cool feeling in the nostrils on the inhale as the air comes through the nostrils. And then how on the exhale, that air feels warmer as it exits the nostrils. Take a couple big full belly breaths here, maybe even bringing the hand to the abdomen. We want to really expand that lower belly, using the diaphragm to pull air deep into the lungs. Filling up through the middle of the lungs, all the way up through the top, and maybe even raising the collarbone slightly as you fill up completely. And then pressing that exhale out, pulling the belly button toward the spine to express all of that air from the lungs. Then we'll draw another big full belly breath in. And press it fully and completely out. And after your next inhale, let's chant Om together to open our practice. Chanting Om together just to remind us of the life force that is present within each and every one of us, connecting us to one another and to every other living being. And when you feel ready, you can gently open the eyes. And we'll begin with some warm-ups here today. Let's lengthen the fingertips out on either side of the body and think of really pressing out through the fingertips, lifting tall through the spine from the base of the spine, deep in the pelvis, all the way up through the back, through the neck, and through the top of the head. And then turning the palms toward the ceiling, let's lift the arms up above the shoulders and then press the hands down toward the floor. We're really activating the arms here, so pulling the arms up above the shoulders, allowing the shoulders to relax away from the ears at the same time, and then pressing the hands down. So using active muscles here in the arms, lifting arms up, and pressing arms back down. Let's do this once more. Lifting arms up, really activating the muscles in the arms, lengthening through the fingertips, and then pressing the arms back down. And then let's lift the arms up to shoulder height once again. Turn the palms toward the ceiling. We're going to bring the fingertips toward the shoulders and then lengthen out through the fingertips. And again, make this an active move, really activating the arms. lengthening out through the fingertips. And then when we contract this last time and bring the fingertips to the shoulders, drop the elbows toward the ribs, and then bring them close together. Maybe they'll touch, maybe they just come close. And then we just make circles with the elbows. And we want to allow our shoulders to stay relaxed. There's a tendency to lift the shoulders up toward the ears in this movement, and we want to keep them relaxed as we make these shoulder circles. And you can do them at whatever pace you like. You may hear a little snap, crackle, pop in the shoulders. I'm hearing it in mine. As long as there's no pain, that's okay. Next time elbows are down by the ribs, let's reverse those circles. And we inhale as we bring the elbows up and forward, and then we exhale as we bring them down and back. Inhale up and forward, exhale down and back. And again, remembering to allow the shoulders to relax. And if that means that the circles are a little bit smaller and the elbows don't come as close together, that's sometimes what we need, is we need to be making these circles outside, away from the body, rather than bringing the elbows close together if that makes the shoulders raise up. So just pay very close attention to your body and what it is capable of today at this practice. Next time that the elbows are down by the ribs, we're going to just lower the fingertips on either side of the body, dropping the chin to the chest, and we're going to rock one ear over to one shoulder and just hold there for a moment. Now, close the eyes and really feel into the length in this side of the neck. If you'd like to add a little intensity, take the hand that's on the side opposite of the tilt of the head and just press that hand gently toward the mat. You might even bring the fingers slightly closer in and then press the base of the palm toward the mat, and you'll feel some extra lengthening in that side of the neck, and maybe even into the upper shoulder and the upper arm. Now just release that hand, let it go soft. Drop the chin back down to the chest and hold there for just a moment, noticing how this feels in the upper back and shoulders. And then we're going to rock the ear over to the opposite shoulder, allowing space again between the shoulders and the ears, just letting the shoulders relax. And if you want to do that same move to add a little extra length, bring the fingertips that are opposite the tilt of the head just slightly closer to the body and press the base of that palm toward the mat. And you'll feel that lengthening again as you press the palm downward. Remembering to breathe here. And then we'll gently rock the chin back down to the chest. Hold there for one full breath cycle. And then we'll rise back up to a neutral position. Let's begin a rock from side to side. The only curvature of the spine here is going to be side to side. We're not leaning forward, we're not leaning back, we're just leaning from side to side. And you can use the hand as a support as you come down, and even use it to press back up again if that's what you need today. And try to keep both sits bones grounded as you move from side to side. And on this next tilt, let's lift one arm up above the shoulder, up toward the ceiling, and then we're going to lengthen the fingertips out toward the tilt side. So tilting fingers toward the same size that the spine is tilting, and really lengthen through the fingertips, and again allow that shoulder to have some space away from the ear. And then we'll bring that hand down. We're going to tilt to the opposite side. Bring the opposite arm right up toward the sky first. Lengthen up tall, and then we'll tilt to the side. And hold here just a moment. Really feeling that lengthening. Keeping the sits bones both grounded, really pressing the sits bone that is opposite the raised arm, pressing that down into the mat and allowing again length between shoulders and ears. Now let's bring a little quicker pace to that same stretch. So we begin the tilt from side to side again and lengthening the arm up overhead. Feeling that nice lengthening in the side body. Let's do one more on each side just to even things out, and then we'll bring the arms both back down on the sides of the hips or the legs. Let's raise them back up over the shoulders. We're going to just lower the fingertips right down in front of the legs, and we're going to just lengthen up tall first through the spine and then begin to walk the fingertips forward. And we want to keep a flat back here, keep a long spine, keep the sits bones grounded behind us, and we'll feel some opening in the hips. It doesn't take a great bend forward to get this feeling of the opening. And when you've reached your edge, you just want to hang out there and allow that opening to happen. You might look down at the floor as if there's just like a mirror or a puddle there that you can see your reflection. And remember to lengthen tall through the crown and pressing those sits bones back and down. After you've been here for a few seconds, if you feel that you might be able to lean forward just a tiny bit more, you might walk the fingertips forward a half inch, an inch, and just allow that additional opening to happen. If the sits bones start to really come up off the mat, then we just want to back up a little bit. So holding here, we're going to walk the fingertips over to one side, frame one knee, keeping a tall spine here, and notice how this changes the sensations in the legs and the hips. Holding in place, keeping both sits bones grounded, we'll walk the fingertips back across the middle and over to the other side to frame the other knee. And again, lengthening through the crown, pressing those sits bones back and down. Noticing how this may feel really different on this side. And then we'll come back to center with the fingertips and use them to help us just press back up to seated. And then we'll switch legs. Raising arms up above shoulders, lengthening tall through the spine, lowering fingertips down in front of the legs, and then walking fingertips forward. Now you might immediately notice that you feel the sensation in a completely different part of the leg on this side of the body. Perfectly normal. We're all kind of asymmetrical and in the body, so just notice these differences. And again, lengthening tall through the crown, pressing sits bones back and down, looking just slightly in front of the legs, in front of the fingertips, down toward the floor. Remembering to breathe here. If this is intense, I think of breathing, taking that inhale into the intense places, scooping up that tension, and then drawing it out on the exhale. Just imagine that imagery, and sometimes that can be helpful. Let's walk the fingertips over to frame one knee. Again, lengthening through the crown, pressing sits bones back and down, and holding here. And then we'll walk the fingertips back through the center, back over to the other side to frame the other knee. And holding here, pressing sits bones back and down, lengthening through the crown. And then we'll bring fingertips back to center, using them to press us back up to seated. Let's come into a cat-cow. And we'll spread the fingers nice and wide, really gripping into the mat with the fingers and the thumb. Head and tail in a nice straight line. Knees under hips, feet right behind knees, dropping the belly, opening through the front body on an inhale, pressing into the base of the palms and curving the spine toward the ceiling on an exhale. Dropping the belly into our cow as we raise the crown and the tail, raising navel to spine, spine to ceiling as we come into our cat, really pressing when you're in the cat, pressing into the tops of the feet, the knees, and the base of the palms. On an inhale, drop the belly. On an exhale, curve the spine up toward the ceiling. Inhaling, drop the belly. And exhaling, navel to spine. Let's come back to a neutral tabletop position here. And we're going to curl the toes under. Lift the hips up high and come into a down dog. Reposition the hands once you get there if needed. Continue to grip into the fingertips and the thumb pad, making hands like little spiders on the mat. I like to pedal my feet in the down dog here to lengthen through the back of the calves and the Achilles. And you can press one heel toward the mat and really bend the opposite knee very generously, drawing the navel up toward the spine, and then switching legs, just intensifying that stretch a little bit. And then come to a still down dog, allowing space again between the ears and shoulders, lengthening the crown toward that front edge of your mat. Ears and biceps are right beside one another. And pressing those heels toward the mat, really feeling length in the back of the legs here. And begin to walk the feet forward toward the hands slowly. We're going to come into a forward fold here. Just allowing gravity to do the work of pulling the head toward the feet. If blocks are handy to have here to bring the earth up closer to the hands, then use those. Allow yourself a generous bend in the knees to whatever degree you need. And as you feel gravity pulling the head toward the feet, you might feel some opening in the back of the legs and the lower back. Really allow the chest and torso to rest on the thighs here. And then we're going to roll up one vertebra at a time, slowly, into a tall mountain pose, allowing the shoulders to relax when we get here. Maybe rocking on the feet front and back and side to side to make sure that the weight is evenly distributed between the 2 feet. And then we'll take a big step to the side so that we can come to the long edge of our mat. So turning toward the long edge. We're going to lift the arms up into a star pose here and just take up a lot of space for a moment. Lengthening through the crown, the fingertips, the feet. And feeling the energy, feeling our power, taking up our space. And then we'll lower the arms. Let's walk the feet back together. And we're going to begin some kicks of the legs from the hip, just warming up the hips a little more here. Kicking forward and back. And if balance is a challenge, you can always put one hand on the wall. You can have a chair handy and put one hand on the chair. We certainly want to keep our balance. And if it works to keep the balance by keeping the hands on the hips, that's great too. Next time the leg is forward, we're just going to kick from the knee, warming up the knees a little bit. And then the next time the foot is forward, make some ankle circles. One direction and then the other. And then we'll lower that leg down. Give it a little shake after its efforts there. Shake it out a little bit. And let's kick the other leg from the hip. Again, using something for balance if needed. Opening up through the hips here. Next time that the leg is out in front, let's kick from the knee. And next time the foot is out in front, we're going to make our ankle circles. One way and then the other. And then we'll lower that leg down and give it a little shake as well after the work there. Let's come with feet hip-width distance apart. We're going to start by pressing the hips forward. Then we'll press them out to one side. Then we'll press them backwards and lean forward. And then press the hips out to the other side. So then we're going to marry these movements to make hip circles. So we're just rotating the hips as we stand. Feet hip width distance. You may feel the need to rock the feet just a bit as you make these circles to keep your balance. So do that. Balance is super important. You want to stay balanced here. Now, next time that the hips are forward, you guessed it, we're going to go in the opposite direction. And again, using the feet to help keep us balanced, using the core muscles to help keep us balanced. One more in this direction. And we'll come back to our neutral position. Let's raise the arms up above the shoulders, clasping in a steeple grip at the top. We're going to lengthen through the crown. Allow some space here between the shoulder and the ear. And as we lengthen up, think of drawing the navel toward the spine, and then we're going to press the hips out to one side as we tilt to the opposite. So making sort of a half crescent, half moon shape, crescent shape with the body, lengthening on one side and contracting on the other. Let's come back up to center, lengthen tall again, and then press the hips out, tilt to the opposite side. Drawing the navel in to support that low back and to keep us balanced here as we hold. And then we'll come back to center, lowering the arms. Let's widen the legs about 3.5 to 4 feet apart. We're going to bring the toes to turn in just slightly, which will automatically make the weight concentrate in the outer edges of the feet. You should feel that. The arches may lift slightly off the mat. Let's bend from the hips, coming forward and just leaning halfway. We're going to extend through the crown of the head and lift the elbows toward the ceiling a little more so we can open up through the chest and then come all the way forward, bringing the hands down to the floor if that feels good, or bringing a block under the forehead. That can sometimes feel nice to have that pressure on the forehead, and allowing the hands to rest wherever feels most comfortable. And just feeling the blood flow toward the head in this inversion. Letting the head hang. And to come out of this position, we'll bring the hands back to the hips, bending the knees. Making sure weight again is in the outer edges of the feet. Come up to that flat back position first with head extended forward, elbows toward the sky. And then we'll come all the way back up tall. Now let's walk our feet together. And we're going to come to the short edge of our mat, the top of the mat. Raise the arms up above the shoulders. Little back bend here at the top. When I say little back bend, you want to draw the navel in, engage the thighs, and then take a little bend back. And then we'll come forward into our forward fold. Let's take the right foot back just as far as we can, coming onto the toes, and then we're going to lower that back knee and the top of the back foot. This is another great place to bring your blocks in so that you can bring the floor up to you and really allow some length through the top of the head, through the crown. Keeping the front knee right over the front ankle and just holding here and allowing some lengthening in the hip flexor of that back leg. If you do have the blocks here, let's set them off to the side and take the front foot and bring it back to meet the back foot. We're coming into this plank here, really pressing into the base of the palms, length between shoulders and ears. Lower the knees and bring the bum back to touch the heels. And then we'll come forward with the chin and the chest and lower all the way down to the belly. And come into a low cobra, lifting from the back body. From here, we'll come up through a tabletop, and then we'll come into our downward facing dog. Pedaling the feet a little bit more here. And coming to stillness. Let's bring the right foot halfway up toward the hands, and then we will lift it one more time and bring it all the way up. That's a 2-step forward, and that can be really helpful sometimes. If one step isn't working for you, take it in 2 steps. Then let's come into a runner's stretch. We're going to bring the weight of the body back toward the back heel and lengthen this front leg almost straight, but we're going to leave a little bit of a bend. This is another great place to have your blocks handy so that you can really lengthen up through the spine, keeping a flat back. We want this back leg also, the knee and the hip and the shin, to all be in one plane. So we don't want the hip to pop out to the side. It has a tendency to do that. And think of lengthening the nose toward the toes here. Then let's roll through the front foot, placing the blocks off to the side, planting the palms on either side of that front foot. Come up on the back toes, put a little bend in the back leg, and then again, take one step halfway up, and then your second step. That can be a big help. Getting the foot all the way up to meet the other foot in front into our forward fold. Then we'll rise up tall, lengthening through the fingertips. And again, let's take that little back bend here at the top, and then bring the hands to prayer position. Let's lengthen up above, hands above shoulders, dive forward into our forward fold. This time we'll take the left toes back just as far as we can reach them, and then lower that left knee in the top of the left foot. And if you want, bring your blocks in here under the hands, lengthen up through the crown, feeling that opening in the hip flexor of the left leg, keeping that front knee right over that front ankle, and just holding here for a breath. Move your blocks off to the side, plant the palms. We're going to take this front foot back to meet the back foot, coming into your plank, lowering the knees as soon as you need. Let's put the tops of the feet down, and we'll lower ourselves down all the way to the belly, pressing up into a cobra of whatever height it works best for you today. Lowering back down. Let's come up through a tabletop. Coming into our down dog, pedaling the feet. And then we're going to take that left foot, lift it slightly, bring it forward one step, and then one more step up between the hands, lowering the top of the right foot and the right knee down onto the mat, lengthening up here into our lunge. And then we're going to bring the weight back over the back heel, toward the back heel, I should say, and lengthen through that front leg. Again, leaving a little bend in the front leg and drawing the toes to point close to the nose, or to point toward the nose. They're not going to get close, I don't think, but point toward the nose. And again, keep this hip and knee in one plane, which I find challenging. Roll forward on that foot. Blocks to the side, come up onto the back toes, a little bend in the back knee. Take one step forward, and then your second step forward into your forward fold. Little sway side to side here might feel nice. Maybe an exaggerated yes nod and an exaggerated shake no. Be gentle with the neck here. These movements can work out some tension. We definitely don't want to create more tension. Let's come back up to a tall mountain, raising arms above the shoulders, and then bringing the hands to prayer position. At the heart, take a moment to close the eyes and feel the energy moving about the body. Feel your pulse, noticing the depth of the breath and pacing of the breath. And we'll do one more round, this time adding in a twist. Raise the arms up above the shoulders, little back bend at the top as we lift up through the crown, and then engage the thighs and the abs to lean back slightly. And we'll take it over into our forward fold. Pick up the right foot, bringing those right toes back as far as we can, lowering the right knee. And then we can bring a block over here underneath the right hand, taking the left hand on the outside of the left ankle and just drawing it across the outside of the left calf, and then lifting it up above the left shoulder, maybe out to the side if the shoulder is feeling tight today, or maybe up a little higher. You decide what feels best for you today. And then we'll bring that hand back down, moving our block back over to the side. Let's take another runner's stretch here, just to stretch out the back of that front leg, keeping knee, hip, and foot in one plane on that back leg. And then we'll walk the fingertips forward as we roll back onto the sole of the front foot, coming up onto the back toes. And we can bring that back, the front foot back to meet the foot and back in our plank. Lower the knees. Put the tops of the feet down flat, and then keep the elbows really close to the body as you lower all the way down, pressing up gently into a cobra, and then lowering back down again, pressing up into our tabletop, and coming into our down dog, walking the feet, pedaling the feet, and then we will lift the right leg slightly and back, bringing it forward, bringing the knee toward the chest, taking one step, and then a second step forward again, lowering the back knee and the top of the back foot. Let's bring the blocks over to put under the hands if that feels good and allows us to stay tall in the spine, pressing into the front heel. Maybe imagine drawing this right hip just back a little bit, just slightly. And then you can bring one hand to the top of the knee in front, maybe bring the second hand up there. And if that feels steady enough, you might bring one arm up over the shoulder. And if that feels steady, then you might bring the opposite arm up over the other shoulder and hold here. Really drawing the navel up and in, maybe glancing toward the sky, bringing the hands down to the blocks or to the floor, bringing the blocks off to the side. Let's come up onto the back toes, little bend in that back knee, and you can take one or two steps here, whatever works best for you, to bring that back foot forward to meet the front in your forward fold. Another little shake of the head, yes and no here, just allowing some tension to release there. And again, maybe a little sway side to side, allowing a bend in the knees here, feeling a release in the back of the legs and the low back. Let's rise up tall, lifting arms up above shoulders, lengthening tall through the spine, space between shoulders and ears. Take that little back bend, and then bring hands down to prayer position. Let's go to the other side. Arms up, little back bend up at the top, forward folding, You can use the arms extended out in front or have them like a diving motion behind you as you come into that forward fold. Whatever feels best for your shoulders. Let's lift up the left foot and bring it back just as far as we can, landing on the toes, lowering that left knee. We're going to do our twist now on this side. You can bring a block here if you'd like, keeping the right knee right above the right ankle, block under the left hand if you like, or hand can be right on the mat. And it's about 6 inches inside the arch of the right foot, directly under the left shoulder. Drawing the right hand up across the outside of the right calf and then lengthening that arm out either to the side or up above the shoulder, lengthening through the crown of the head and feeling the energy reaching out the fingertips here. Let's bring that hand back down. And we'll come into our runner's stretch again. You can use the blocks under the hands if you like to come back. Bringing the weight back over this back knee. Again, knee and hip and ankle all in the same plane. Bringing the toes toward the nose, straight back. Rolling forward onto that foot. Let's come up onto our back toes and lift up. Onto the back toes, taking that front right foot and bringing it back into our plank to meet the back foot. Extension through the crown, lower the knees, elbows close to the body as we lower the belly down to the mat, pressing up into our cobra, lowering back down, pressing up through a tabletop into our downward facing dog. Pedal the feet here a bit. Lengthen through the crown, allowing that space between shoulders and ears. And we're going to, excuse me, take that left foot, lift it back behind us just a bit, bring the knee in really close to the chest, and step once or twice to bring that left foot forward, lowering the right knee behind us and the top of the right foot. Come onto your blocks here if you like. Pressing into that left heel, think of drawing the left hip back just slightly. And if it's nice and stable in this position, you can bring the hands up to the knee. And again, if that feels stable, try lifting one arm up above the shoulder and then possibly the other arm up above the other shoulder. Maybe glancing up toward the ceiling. And then we'll bring the hands back down to the mat. Coming up onto the back toes, nice bend in the back knee for a little bounce to bring that foot forward in 1 or 2 steps into your forward fold. And again, a little sway here, a little nod, a little shake of the head no. Let's rise back up tall, lifting arms up above shoulders. Slight back bend here at the top, bringing the hands back to prayer position at the heart. And again, closing the eyes, noticing the pacing and depth of the breath, maybe noticing that the pulse rate has risen a little bit. We've been using the whole body here, a lot of strength, building a lot of balance, strength, core, muscles, the whole body's been involved here, and the mind. Let's lower the hands down. We're going to come down to our mat, and we'll start by pressing the bum back, keeping the hands on the thighs, bending at the knees. We're going to actually use our blocks today, bring them to our sides, and walk them back a bit. Coming to a squat, and then we can bring one hand to the floor and the other hand to the floor. Just a little assist with the blocks there to come all the way down to our seated position. And we're going to do a little rock of the knees here. We have the soles of the feet on the floor flat, and the knees are pointed toward the sky. We're just going to rock them from one side of the room to the other. Just a little bit of a massage here in the glutes. You may hear a little snap, crackle, pop in those joints as long as there's no pain involved. It's not a problem. All right, let's come back to stillness here in the center. And we're going to gently lower ourselves down, rolling down onto the mat, bringing the knees to the chest, giving them a little hug and a little rock from side to side. And then we're going to bring the hands onto the kneecaps and press the knees away from the body just far enough so that the arms are straight. The elbows aren't locked, but the arms are straight. And the only thing keeping the feet from falling to the floor is that there's a little bit of pressure from the hands to keep the knees in place. And this should create some pressure on the sacrum that's just above the tailbone. And that can feel really nice if you've been standing or sitting a lot, which we tend to do in our work sometimes. Twisting, just about any movement, putting some pressure on the sacrum can just feel really nice and give it a little reset. Let's gently let go with the hands and bring the soles of the feet to the floor. And we're going to do that same movement now with the knees that we did when we were sitting, just letting them fall to one side, but we're going to let them stay there for just a moment and relax into this twist. You might lengthen the hands out on either side of the shoulders and turn the head to face the opposite direction of the knees. So we're continuing this twist up into the neck. Only if this feels good on the neck. Otherwise, you can keep the face toward the ceiling. And let's bring the head back to face the ceiling. If it's not already there, bring the knees up, pointing toward the ceiling, and then we're going to rock them over to the opposite side. Notice how this may feel different as we rock the legs or the knees to the opposite side. And again, if you want to continue this twist into the neck, you can turn the head to face the palm that is extended in the opposite direction of the knees. And then we're going to come back to center with the knees. Again, hug them into the chest. Give them a little rock from side to side. Extend the left leg out long and keep the right knee to the chest. We're going to use the upper chest and upper abdominal muscles to lift the head, and if the head needs support, if that creates tension in the neck, put the fingertips behind the head to give some extra support, and raise the nose toward the ceiling, and then tip the head so the nose is coming toward the knee. If you have the desire and the capability today, you can lengthen the fingertips toward the front of the mat, or you can put them just below the kneecap. You can always bring them back behind the head. You might feel a little shake here. That's building strength. Let's lower the head gently down. Extend the right leg out on the mat and bring the left knee in toward the chest. Give it just a little snug hug. And again, we're going to either bring the hands behind the fingertips behind the head right away, clasping behind the head, or you can leave them at your sides. Go ahead and lift with the abdominal muscles and the upper chest. And then if you want, once you get the nose pointed toward the ceiling, bring the nose toward the knee. You can lengthen the hands out in front toward the front of the mat if that feels good. And then if you need to bring the fingertips back, you want to keep the elbows nice and wide, gently lowering the head and gently lowering that leg down. And look where we are now. We're right here in Shavasana. We're going to stay here for a few moments, just letting the benefits of our practice marinate while we relax here. We're going to just be and breathe. Scan the body, allowing awareness to come to all parts of the body. And anywhere you find tension, we're going to let it go. We're going to fully relax any muscular efforts. Just be and breathe, letting any thoughts come through the mind and pass through without attachment or judgment. And I'll let you know when it's time to come back to full awareness. Take a full belly breath in and a full and complete exhale. And then begin to bring a little movement to the fingertips and the toes. Maybe making some circles with the wrists, rocking the feet from side to side, rocking the hips from side to side. Taking a full body stretch here, pressing through the base of the palms. Hello, Peanut. And through the heels of the feet, really stretching from end to end here. And after you've stretched, let's roll over onto one side, pillowing the head with the arm. Keeping the eyes closed here for as long as you can. Peanut is being extra friendly. And then after one full breath cycle there, we'll use the hands to press us up to seated. Again, keeping the eyes closed as long as possible. Coming into your Sukhasana, your easy seat here. Sitting tall, letting the hands rest on the legs with palms open to the sky. Lengthening tall through the spine. Noticing the breathing pattern. Maybe feeling the heartbeat. Feeling all the energy that's been created here in your practice today. Taking notice of any sensations in the body. Noticing the breath as it enters the nostrils and exits the nostrils. Take notice of those points in the body that are grounded on the surface beneath you, in the bum, the legs, the ankles, and the feet. Take notice of the clothing against the body, the temperature of the air in the room against the skin. And notice any sounds in the room or outside that you can hear as we come back to full awareness. Let's bring the hands to prayer position at the heart. Take a big full belly inhale and we'll chant Om together on the exhale. And let's bring the thumbs to rest on the forehead with our prayer position. May we have peace in our thoughts. Bringing thumbs to rest at the lips. May we have peace in our words. And finally, back down at the heart space. May we have peace in our hearts. The light in me honors and recognizes the light in you. And I bow as I say Namaste. Thank you so much for being here to practice with me today. And I do hope that this practice brought some good feelings for your body, as well as your mind and your emotional state. I hope it's brought some peace and tranquility into your day, and that you can now carry that peace and tranquility with you into every space that you enter throughout the rest of your day. Thanks for being here with me and Peanut to practice. If you have any questions or comments about the practice or yoga in general, certainly let me know in the comments below. Another shout out to Mary for suggesting this practice during one of our private sessions. If you have interest in working with me privately or through another means with your company or any other yoga opportunities, I would certainly be interested in talking to you more and seeing how we might work together. So you can message me about that as well. Look forward to practicing with you again very soon. Namaste.